There, guys and girls. Hope you're doing really well in this heavily weather manipulated reality that we find ourselves in right now. And yeah, I've got a story about that. I was last week. I woke up in the morning to videos of Valencia, the sad scenes there with all the flooding, which we know is not natural. We know they're harping that area to smithereens and probably opening dams as well, because I've seen videos of flooding where it wasn't even raining. And yeah, obviously the goal is to destroy those cities and then turn them into 15-minute cities. So then that ties into your social credit score. You won't be able to leave the 15-minute city, and we know where it's all like the technological enslavement, right? But yeah, so I was thinking, oh, my mum went on a road trip to Spain last week, and she's got family in Valencia. She was in Valencia. Can you believe it? Of all the places. So I was obviously worried out of my mind, and I couldn't get hold of her for a few hours. And eventually she messaged me back, and thankfully she was all right. But some of the scenes that she wasn't right in the thick of it, thankfully, but she was witness to the heaviness of the rain. First of all, she did describe it as very unusual, and she was also describing the people when it had all died down a bit. How she said one of the things, Tony, that got her upset the most was just the amount of people that came out with buckets and mops, and it's really sad to hear her say that. And she was welling up as she explained it to me, because it just shows the strength of the human spirit in those kind of times, and how we can and do come together when we need to. It's just frustrating that we don't do it before these things happen. Um, so that was very sad. But like I say, thankfully she's okay. But it's crazy. It really is crazy out there what they're doing. Even here, it's very stormy. It's been stormy for months on end. So um, I'm not fear mongering, but it might be worth just checking out wherever you are. If there's like a 15-minute city planned, just make sure you have some supplies. And like I say, I'm not trying to get people in fear, but it's good to be prepared for things, because the way I see it right now is that they are throwing the kitchen sink at us, and every day there's just something, isn't there? So um, but I do think that when you're in it, when you're looking at it, you know, from within, it's very crazy. But when you zoom out, I do see that this system is like a cornered rat, and it really just seems that they're throwing everything at us in a very short space of time, almost like time's running out. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, because it was quite kind of a bizarre story that my mum just happened to be in Valencia. So, um, but yeah, anyway, we're going to get into this lady's testimonial. And I got this from Sergeant Schultz's channel. Go and give him a subscribe if you haven't already. He's got some good content on there. But she's going to be talking how she was pushed into the vortex by her spirit guides, her loving spirit guides, who love us so much that we keep recycling back here time after time. I want to sack mine. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine keep having these spirit guides that lead you back here again? I mean, something's not adding up there, is it? So we're going to get into that, but before we do, guys, don't forget to give the video a like, a subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, if you want to work with me or check out my course, we've got a live Q&A coming up in the next few weeks. You can go to my website, transcendingtimes.org. It's got all my stuff there. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into what this lady has to say.
Birth experience. So the earliest memory I have is walking through this spiritual dimension. I can't explain it in any other way. It was sort of concrete, but it wasn't. So there was a lot of energy, a lot of color, and a lot.
So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the dimension she's talking about, the astral dimension. The astral realm people get caught up there. You know, people that take ayahuasca and DMT and all this stuff. Um, it's just a layer of this matrix. I've been saying it for years now. Imagine that it, there's a football match. It's the away ground, right? I mean, this physical realm is still part of that, but it's their domain, and it's an interesting word there, domain. You know, if you consider that this is an AI system, the astral realm is their domain. And so we need to be very clear that whatever people are reporting, seeing in this domain, this astral realm, if they're talking about benevolent beings or guides or things like that, then it's an immediate red flag for me, because it's just part of this false copy. Um, it's just a layer of this matrix. And this is why I have a problem with a lot of people have asked me to review this guy. I am going to get round to doing it. But the Darius J. Wright, he talks about benevolent beings within this realm, and you know, it's just a red flag for me, because it's part of this matrix. And whether we're here in physical form or when we pass over, we need to make damn sure that we're not still messing within the astral realm, within this layer of the matrix. We need to make sure we're clear of that, because it's their playground, basically, guys. So anyway, let's carry on. The other thing I would like to mention here is look how like dazzling they make that astral. They put on all the bells and whistles to keep you lured into it, keep you bedazzled by it. And you often hear of the vibrancy of the colours and things like that. And again, it's just being discerning, discern in this dimension, in that dimension, and when we get out of here, it's just always having that discernment. But they certainly dazzle us and put all the bells and whistles within that realm.
A lot of almost like clouds around me. The color was sort of bright, like pink and very warm colors, like pink, white, and it was very warm, and it was very beautiful there. It was just so beautiful. I mean, I had not a care in the.
When she says it was very warm, I wonder if this is the false light technology, you know, that the love bomb, if you like, that just makes you feel extra cozy and extra comfortable within that that fake realm.
In the world, I felt at ease, and I remember seeing sort of buildings is what I could.
And remember, guys, you know, you've just, well, in her case, it's a pre-birth memory, but you know, you've just come from Earth, right? It's heavy, it's dense. You've been in a physical body. Maybe you've been in a lot of pain. You've suffered, whatever. You end up in this place where it's all fluffy and light, and you get hit with the light frequency technology, and you feel all. I mean, you can see how it gets people.
Describe them in human terms in the background. And what I perceived was that those buildings were training buildings. Those were buildings.
Training buildings. Training for what? Training for your lessons. Because Earth is a school.
That souls were kind of training and getting ready for their lifetime on planet Earth. And so they were making their plans for their lifetimes. They were, you know, studying spiritual topics, and they were getting ready. So it was almost like a boot camp.
I bet.
Or like a camp.
A boot camp. Imagine you pass over and you end up on a boot camp.
And I had come from that, and I was what I can only describe as like walking down a path, but it wasn't a path in human terms, okay? It was more like, you know, less concrete. And I was communicating with somebody next to me who was a spiritual mentor. That's how I.
A spiritual mentor. So she doesn't know what this deity is, what this being is, but already she's placing this being as something higher than herself. She's giving her authority away. She's already saying that this was of a higher knowledge. And you hear that so often. It's almost like we have such a low opinion of ourselves, or we haven't figured out our own sovereignty. And so we immediately, when these people, they meet these beings, they immediately place them higher than themselves. And then they're completely open to all the manipulation and BS that they come out with.
I can describe him. He was like a very highly evolved spiritual being right next to me, and he.
Don't tell me he had a robe. Did they bang out the robes for her?
He was floating next to me or walking next to me. He was sort of tall. I remember him sort of having.
Right, even that, guys, right? Like, I don't know, if you're walking along the street and someone just comes and starts walking next to you, like, isn't that just a little bit weird? Like, I don't know, is there like no introduction? Like for me, I'd find even that intrusive. I'm there, and like a being just comes alongside me. Um, but again, these things never get questioned by these people.
Like darker robes on, but
there's the robes. They love their robes, don't they? They love their robes. Why do they love their robes? Because when humans see robes, I don't know why. Maybe it's like a past life thing, or I don't know. Our subconscious automatically just thinks wisdom, and then obviously we place these beings above our own authority again.
Very loving being, but not a being that incarnates on planet Earth anymore.
Yeah. I wonder why.
It was more of a being that had kind of evolved and was now helping beings like me, get.
Helping. Helping, guys. They love to help, don't they? What is it that woman said? Not the workers. I forget what she said. When she was looking for a parking space, what term did she use? I can't remember what she used, but you know what I mean anyway.
Through their karma, get through their life stuff, get through everything.
Always got to get through stuff, haven't we? Got to get through karma, life stuff, training, boot camps, lessons. Isn't it just a joy?
And so we were walking, and the way we were communicating was via our minds. So we were telepathically communicating, and at the same time that he was communicating with me, I was really communicating with higher consciousness, God, or whatever else, and I was getting spiritual downloads and spiritual.
But again, there's just an assumption on her part. No discernment. Okay, it's God. It's a higher power. Like they never like question. Okay, well, where is that voice? What, could it be something else? They automatically just assume
sort of truths about who we truly are in our nature at the same time. And so at some point, I remember kind of getting this feeling of like, oh no, now we're getting close. Now it's almost time for me to go. And
no.
I was getting very anxious. And when I say it wasn't me as a person, it was more like my essence. I perceived myself as like a
yeah, her essence, who she really was. That knew. No wonder it was feeling disturbed. That knew what this place was. That's what she's feeling there. But she ignores that. She ignores that kind of intuition, that gut feeling.
A ball of energy, almost like a lightful being. That's also how I was kind of saw myself.
It's a good old
was just this like lightful cloak around me. And so we were walking, getting very anxious, and I started bargaining with him, and that's how he presented himself as a male. But there was sort of this understanding that that was just his preference to me. He could be male or female or anything really. I just perceived him as male.
We don't care really. We just want you back down there to harvest you like a cow for your energy. Really isn't important to us.
And I was kind of asking him in my mind. I said, "Do I really have to go?" And I had this sort of dread of like, oh.
Dread. Did I really have to go? says 1,000 things, doesn't it?
Oh man, I've been through this so many times and I know what it's like down there and I know how hard it is down there and I really don't want to leave this beautiful, just blissful space. Like I just wanted to stay here because it's very restful and very beautiful and up there. I mean, you don't have a care in the world there. And he was like, "Well, we discussed this many times now. You need to go another time."
Not passive aggressive at all, is it? Well, we've discussed this many times. You know, what's that do? Like making her feel guilty or shameful, or I mean, she's probably had a memory wipe, God knows how many times. So those discussions she probably doesn't remember anyway. But here we have this entity that she's saying is loving. She says it felt like I don't know what she just said, like a loving arm round the shoulders. She's saying she don't want to go, and now he's trying to shoehorn her back by guilting and shaming her and being passive aggressive.
And I said, "Well, can this at least be my last time? Like, do I really need to go another time?" And he was like, "Well, it's really up to you. I mean, if you do everything that you've decided to accomplish on planet Earth, then maybe this he was like, it's probably not going to be your last time, but."
Probably not going to be your last time. But if you accomplish all the things that you do, then maybe. I mean, seriously, guys. When you see it, you see it. It's so obvious. This is why I say, do not channel, do not deal with guides, do not deal with any beings in the astral gods, Egyptian gods, Greek gods. It's all a show.
You could potentially skip over a couple of lifetimes and take a shortcut. And I remember in my essence and in my soul thinking at that time, like, that's what I want to do. I just want to power through this lifetime because I don't want to have to go back there again. And before we knew it, we were at this, what I can only describe as almost like a helicopter hub. So it was round, and it was like a vortex, and it was swirling in the middle. And I was standing in the edge of it, and I could see and perceive other souls standing with their mentors there as well, who had brought them there.
It's almost like having to jump down a black hole or well, to a death or something. That's what it kind of feels like when she's describing it. That all these other beings are there. They don't really want to go at all, but it's like they want to like push you down the edge. Well, I mean, the title says pushed into the vortex, so we'll see what happens. But it just the reluctance of these people to want to come back down here, and still believing that they have to come back down here because it's a school and they need to learn lessons. And even if they learn their lessons, this entity is saying, well, maybe it might not even be your last time, even if you do the things that you're supposed to do, that they're never told anyway. I mean, when do you ever research? When do you ever see these things where they said, what you need to do is this, and this? You never hear that, do you? It's just like, oh, you need to learn lessons. Go back. Well, and then your memory's wiped anyway.
There too, and it was very clear to me that those souls were born too. I mean, at that time, I didn't have that concept of I'm being born, but it was sort of clear to me that those souls were departing too, and that they had gone there to say goodbye to the spiritual realm. And so I was standing there with him, and I was still bargaining, and I was like, I really don't want to have to go. Can't we do anything? Like, can't I just stay a couple more minutes or what? There was no.
She's so desperate that she just wants to stay even a couple more minutes. I mean, it's sad, really.
Time, but it kind of felt that way. And he said, well, we already discussed that. He started getting a little bit like lovingly, but a little bit, like a.
Well, it's not loving, is it? It's passive aggressive. He's trying to say it in a way where it's not you need to go back, but he's trying to make her feel bad for questioning it. Her essence doesn't want to go back. Her essence is screaming, literally, I don't want to go back, but she's ignoring it. Her decision-making part is is not strong enough, or she's not aware of manipulation. That's for sure. But she's ignoring what her essence is screaming her to do, which is to say no, which is to refuse.
A father figure, almost like, we discussed it. Come on, we know you
Father
need to go.
figure.
And then the last thing before he actually pushed me into the vortex, because he knew.
Did I hear that right? She was pushed into the vortex. So how can this being be loving if it pushes you into a vortex when you don't want to? This is like the one that I did with God, where the woman thought that she was talking with God, and God kept telling her that she had free will, kept repeating it to her, and then she said that she was stuffed back into her body. That was an NDE, that one. Stuffed back into her body from God. You know, God apparently loves us all. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, guys. Like, literally, these beings are downright evil, and now she's got the gall to come on camera and still describe this being as loving. Unbelievable.
I wouldn't have gone otherwise, was just remember that we're always here for you. All you need to do is reach out with your mind to us and remember that we're always here for you.
Always here for you. Where's the sick bucket at this point? Like, where is the logic with these people? Like, it's so frustrating listening to these people. Because even that she's described all of this, there still doesn't seem to be any part of her that is questioning it or thinks, hang on a minute, maybe that wasn't right.
And I said, okay. So he pushed me, and I thought in that moment, that, you pushed me down. Again, he pushed me, and I fell down the vortex. And so it was like the tunnel, but in reverse. So the tunnel that a lot of people see in their near-death experiences is what I fell through, but in reverse, almost like a two-way street.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. The tunnel, there's been reports of souls going in one way and coming out the other way. So it sounds like what she's describing there. I'm still gobsmacked, really. I'm still gobsmacked by the fact that she's been pushed down a vortex by a spirit. Actually, I'm not shocked, really.
And I remember falling through the tunnel, and it was a sensation of being sucked into darkness, and thinking like, I remember this from the times I was dying before, and then there was this point where suddenly I was sucked into this dimension, and I slammed into my body. I remember literally like slamming into my body, taking a breath, and then just thinking, here we go again.
Here we go again. The roller coaster that is life on Earth. Back down here, powering the AI as a battery, with all your loosh, with all the trauma, the pain, the suffering, the highs, the lows. Literally, a cow on the farm, and she knows it. Her essence knows it. But she's just ignored everything because she probably doesn't think that there's any other option, or she's placed these beings' BS at the higher than her own intuition.
And being just completely exhausted. Landing in my body was awful. It was just like this really like harsh, like rough, I was like literally slammed. It was like I was slammed into a wall. There was a lot of pain. It was cold. It was bright. And it was just, the thought was just, here I go again. And then after that, I kind of fell into just this, like not amnesia, but just, I was unconscious. I was passed out. And my mom will tell you that on the other side, I was actually 2 weeks late. So I was so late that the doctors were really concerned that I might.
Yeah, she probably didn't want to come out. That's why. And that's what a lot of, I believe a lot of abortions are. I mean, look at the word abort. I believe that that's where the soul, quite often, I mean, there can be other things that happen as well. I really do think that that is where the soul just, it cannot handle the thought of coming out, and it aborts mission, abortion. I'm convinced that that's why that word exists.
Not be making it, that I might actually be a stillbirth, which I think is why my on the spiritual side I was pushed, right? Because otherwise I probably wouldn't have made it into this body in this lifetime.
Exactly, she was close to aborting because her essence just really didn't want to be here. So she, yeah, she could have died very easily. It's very interesting.
I remember that there were sort of kind of buildings to what I would call my physical body, my left. And I remember that those buildings, I had a keen sense that these buildings were preparation buildings for other souls to prepare themselves to go back into different lifetimes and different dimensions.
Preparation centers. So we have the processing center where you go to when you pass over to register yourself, and then preparation centers. There's other people have spoke about other different places similar. I remember one that I looked at where he really didn't want to come back down. He didn't want to go through the veil of forgetfulness. He didn't want to go through the memory wipe. It was so traumatic. So they sent him to a training center to prepare him. So I feel like that's probably maybe what she's referring to here, where the soul really doesn't want to come back. It really knows that the whole thing of just having the memory wipe and coming back down is so traumatic that they actually have these preparation centers where your guides are that love you so much and all that nonsense, probably just more brainwashing you and telling you, you know, you've got an important lifetime and yada yada, all the other stuff. And all the time, it's they have the ability to say no, and they don't. I mean, it's crazy, really, how people are still at this point. I mean, I guess a lot of that has to do with the memory wipe, but even just, I don't know. I mean, we're all subject to it because we're all here. I mean, I must have been stupid at some point, but yeah.
And I had come from these buildings. I was ready to go back into another lifetime, even though I was very reluctant. I really didn't want to, because I knew what was going to happen here on planet Earth. I kind of had a sense. I had a sense that I had been here many times, and that it was a really hard place to be in. But I also had a sense that I really needed to go to this space, that there was a purpose for this. And
Yeah, but we never know what that is, really, do we? I mean, even as she's talking, she's like, she still knows. She knows that this is all wrong.
so what I can say is that I was walking, but I wasn't. Okay, so everything that I'm explaining to you, I'm trying to put into human terms. It's very hard to do that because we're in this constricted little body, and over there we don't have that, so we can just communicate via our minds, and we can understand concepts that we could not possibly.
The more I think about it, the more the body really is a hindrance. I mean, I made a video about it um, perhaps a couple of months ago. It really, I know it's depressing, but it really just seems like a prison, to be honest with you. I mean, even when you look at the terms like cells, the cells in our body, what's that? A cell is like a prison, and you know, it seems to be just an incredible invention to harvest loose from us, because you know we have to go through physical pain, we age, we have to watch our loved ones age and get sick and all that stuff, and yeah, for that reason alone, just being in this dense body, which when you think about it, you have to maintain it all the time. Like you have to feed it 2 or 3 times a day. You know, you pee and you poop, and it's like you've got no control over that. It kind of runs your life. And you know, if you allow yourself to get sick, even more so. And you know, really, it's fragile. And through the nervous system, where we experience pain on degrees which are not normal. Um, you know, when, like I've said, like when you get a toothache, or it just seems OTT. Like the amount of pain that we need to experience. Like if you just say there was something wrong in the body, sure, have a little bit of pain to so that would signal to the person, that maybe there's something wrong. But why does it have to be excruciating in many cases? Again, I know it's not the most light-hearted topic, but it just seems to be a creation for me as for something for loose harvesting, really.
We understand in this human body. So when I say walking, I wasn't obviously walking because I didn't have a body, but it felt like that sensation of walking. I was floating more or less on a sort of a path, which wasn't a path, but that's the best way I can describe it, okay? And next to me was my mentor, my spiritual mentor. So the way I perceived myself was as pure light. I was pure light. It was this ball of energy that was just white light. And my mentor portrayed himself as male and as a very tall sort of being in what I can only.
I mean, it's quite imposing, isn't it? I mean, like a tall male being. You know, she describes like a father figure. They really, this AI, this algorithm, really does work out the best ways in which to manipulate people into doing certain things.
Describe as bluish purple robes.
My eyes are going to roll into the back of my head again. every one of these review videos is like, I'm going to eyes in the back of my neck at some point.
That's how he portrayed himself to me. Now, do I believe that there is such a thing as male or female over there? There is and there isn't. I think that it's all based on the soul and how they're comfortable. And so for me, my mentor has always been male for some reason. Okay, so we were floating down that little pathway, and I was really reluctant to go back. So we were having a telepathic conversation in the energetic realm, mind to mind. And we were having this telepathic conversation about me going back. And I said, I really don't want to go back. I really have to go because it's so beautiful over here. It's so lovely. It's such a beautiful, loving space.
Yeah, but it's like I say, it's also part of the illusion. It's part of the delusion. They make it seem loving and peaceful, and they put on all the lights and the glamour and the bells and whistles. So when you're there, it's just, yeah. Why would you want to leave that place? It's they have to make it like that.
And I know what it's gonna be like down there when I'm back. And he said, well, we discussed it. We discussed that you have to go back.
I'm not sure if this is the same woman telling the same story. It's just gone into the same thing again, but we'll see if it is. Well, there's only a few minutes left anyway, so.
I said, yeah, I know we discussed everything. I know we planned everything out, but I'm kind of hoping.
But why doesn't she tell us what she planned? That's what I'm really interested to know. You never hear it. There's never a list where they say, so what I did is I agreed that I was going to do this, 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 and this. But it's like nothing.
That maybe there's another way. Maybe there's another way that I can that I can do this, but not having to go back here to this planet, to this earthly realm. And he said, well, there's not really anything we can do here. And
great guide, great mentor. Well, it is what it is. My best advice: nothing we can do. Sorry. It's like, oh dear.
And I bargained with him, and I said, okay, but what if I really, really, really tried really hard to, learn a lot and work through
Learn a bit harder. Just learn a bit harder.
a lot of things? Do you think it would be possible for me to speed things up so that, I don't have to go very many more times after this lifetime? Because I really don't want to go anymore. I'm really done with this earthly plane. And he said, well, that's kind of up to you. The beauty is you have free will.
You got free will, but I'm just going to push you down this hole, all right? I know you don't want to go down there, but I'm just going to push you down there anyway. But you got free will, right? When you go back, you got to tell everyone you got free will. But we're stuffing people back into bodies and pushing people down holes.
It's really up to you. You can decide what you want to do, and you can decide, how quickly you want to speed through this. And at the end of this journey into this lifetime, we can see, and maybe you've surpassed, what we set up for this life.
And who are these? This is what gets me. Like, who are these like perfect beings that never put a foot wrong? This tell you they're not judging you, but they're gonna see how you got on, see how you got on your life. It just beggars belief. It really does.
Lifetime, and maybe we can figure out, what the next step is and how many more times you have to go. And that was satisfying enough, I remember.
Satisfying enough? Are you kidding me? She's just asked him, like, if she's a good girl, they're going to see and decide how many lifetimes she has to come back again.
Thinking to myself, what I can only perceive as thinking, I'm going to do my very best. I'm going to speed through this lifetime. I'm going to try to do as much as I can so that
Anyway, guys, I think this is the same woman just saying the same thing again. So we already know what's going to happen there. So she's going to get pushed down the hole, but she has free will. I mean, it's rinse and repeat with these people. But I wanted to review this video because it talks specifically about spirit guides and mentors. And of course, for years, I've been saying to people, don't connect with spirit guides. Don't even you think you're dealing with God, you think you're dealing with Jesus, you think you're dealing with an alien race or angels. These are all these masquerading beings, and they want you down here. They want you taking paths that are going to lead to more loose creation, which is going to cause you more trauma, more drama. I got story after story after story working with different clients down the years. As I say, that thought they were working with these beings. Life has ended up in a complete mess, completely ruined. So all they're interested in is generating loose for themselves when you're down here by giving you misinformation. And yes, they have to give you some truths, and you might even get up to 90% of truth with these beings, with this channel material. They have to, because if there's no truth in what they say, you're not going to listen to them. And then, as I say, there's the rug pull, there's the dump in the punch bowl, where you'll listen to them and then eventually you'll end up smacking into a wall. So they're there to generate loose while you're down here, run agendas, run complete agendas for people or for beings, like in the case of John or God, or hook you into a new age agenda where you're, doing light language and all this stuff and encouraging others to do light language and stuff. They work through people to get them to run agendas, or they want to get you back down here again when you pass over. They're not your guides. They're your worst freaking enemies, guys. They are your worst enemies. So anyone channeling information or whatever, or dealing with entities, or saying that they astral traveled, or they had these experiences with benevolent beings, if it's in this realm, if it's in this astral, if it's in their away ground, chances are it's going to be deception and it's going to be manipulation. And we are the people go, oh well, where's all? It can't all be bad, Tony. Well, I'm not saying that in the whole of creation there's not anything good. And in this domain, we are the good beings. We are the essence beings, the essence players in this video game, if you want to look at it like that, which it pretty much is like that. And we have to realize our power, and we have to realize that we are the authority. These beings in cloaks and all that nonsense, this AI system, whatever they want to do with us, we have the authority over them, not the other way around. And we have to realize that. We have to become sovereign, because even if you make it out of here, this matrix, if you've not developed those discernment skills, that sovereign spirit, as I call it, then you're going to be wide open to being manipulated and stuff. So I think that's a good way to leave it, guys. So yeah, if you like the video, give it a like, thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll see you on another video soon. You take care.